Welcome back to Hot Rod Guy Garage, and guess what time it is? It's time to work on the 65 Mustang. So follow me along through the intro, and I'll be back. Alright guys, it's been another week and we got more parts. So I did order a new carpet kit for 65, and I've got it sitting out in the sun. But before we get into that, make sure you check out Kentucky Mustang Parts, guys. Their link will be down in the description below, along with a discount code to help you save some money. So you want to put some new carpet into your classic Mustang, right? So first thing you're going to do, you're going to order a carpet kit like the one I ordered from Kentucky Mustang. And I'll show that to you here in just a moment. But the most important thing you can do, you take that new carpet out of the box. It's not going to be take it out of the box, throw it in the car. Not going to happen. You need a warm, sunny day, guys. And you want that carpet out there in the sun, let it get as hot as it can to warm up this plastic backer that's on these new carpets. And surprisingly, for a day in January in Tennessee, and it's been like in the 17, 15 degree range, 20, 30s, you know, today it's like 65 degrees and it's bright and sunny, as you can see. Not a cloud in the sky. So I've had this carpet sitting out here for a little while. I'm going to flip it around and show it to you. But I'm going to show you some of the reasons why you need this to sit outside in the sun. So we got our new carpet out here. It's been sitting in the sun. Now this has been sitting in the car for about 3 or 4 days now, stretched out, trying to let it relax naturally. But when you take this carpet out of the box, guys, you're going to have stuff like this, these wrinkles and stuff. And when you let this stuff sit out here in the sun, it warms up this backing right here, and it'll help this stuff kind of relax out a little better. And even with these vinyl protection mats in here, it'll let all this stuff just kind of relax out. It's already made leaps and bounds in about an hour it's set out here. But you want this stuff to sit out here and kind of relax. And when doing any kind of upholstery work, seats, headliner, carpet, door panel stuff, heat is your friend, guys. So I'm going to let this stuff sit out there a little while longer. And we'll mess with some other stuff on the car while this carpet's heating up. And we'll go from there. So while our carpet's out there cooking in the sun, I have got a windshield washer kit for the car. The 65 was not factory equipped with windshield washers. And it is super easy to add, especially to your cars with 1-speed wipers. All the power stuff's already in the dash, guys. The terminals are already on the switch. Some cars simply didn't get it. So for as simply as just drilling a couple of holes, you could easily add windshield washers to your classic Mustang. So let me flip it around and I'll show it to you. So this is a kit I got from Kentucky Mustang. It comes with the wiring. This will be really simple to hook up, guys. A reproduction washer bag, the windshield washer squirters, the bracket for the bag, the pump mounting screws, and the windshield washer pump itself. Literally, that's all you need, other than the mounting screws for your windshield washer squirters. And it also comes with windshield washer hose with the correct style tee and everything you'll need there. So this kit's about right at $100. It's just a really cheap upgrade you can do, especially considering how easy it is to install. So let's get into it. We'll start by mounting the washer pump and the bag and the bracket, and then we'll move on into, you know, the wiring portion of it, which, like I said before, guys, is super simple. Super simple if you don't know. So let's get to it. So I messed up on the bag mounting. I went off my 66 over here. You can clearly see where the bracket was. Well, it's supposed to go here. So that's quite a bit of difference. So what I did, I moved the 65 bag back forward. Our pump still mounts in the same spot down here. And there is dimples. If your car's not drilled, there'll be dimples in these areas. There'll be dimples in these areas. You drill these dimples, put your bolts in it. So I got our feed hose to the pump off the bag on there. I got our pressure hose run up through here, and that's going to attach to your factory harness, run back over here and up behind the hood hinge, and your T's going to go somewhere right in that area right there on your cowl. And you're going to have two little short pieces to come out of your washer sprayers, and those screw to the cowl up there in these holes. The little hole there is a screw hole. So I'm going to get those in there now. I'm going to get our short pieces of hose on to the T. We're going to run our washer hose along, and we'll just have to see where we get from there. Sometimes you get ahead of yourself, guys, like I did. I went over here and looked at 66. It's like, oh, right here. Completely forgetting that it went further forward. So easy to remedy. Got that addressed. There's only a couple things this windshield washer kit does not have, guys. That's the screws for squirters. And there's supposed to be two plastic clips that clip on the cowl to hold that washer hood, the washer hose, to the cowl itself. So I'm going to have to order the plastic clips because it didn't come with them. I'm going to have to find two screws for our washer sprayers, but literally the kit comes with everything else. So I got the hoses routed, hooked up. So our next thing's going to be the wiring harness, and it's going to be easier for me to show you on my 66. Your windshield washer feed, along with if your car had fog lamps, all that stuff comes out in this area right here. That hole right there is quite oversized, but fit the factory 66 grommet that was in mine. This is quite a bit smaller. This is about a 1/2 inch hole. And if your car don't have it, you will have a dimple in your firewall right above your headlight harness plug. That's where you're going to drill through. And that's easier done with a 90-degree drill bit. Yep, I said 90-degree drill bit when I meant 90-degree drill. So let me get this thing drilled. I'm going to use a step bit. But only this black wire off your harness it comes with. It comes with a black and a white wire. We'll get into hooking those up here in a moment. But let's get the black wire through the firewall with the grommet. Ran out here under the hood the way it's supposed to run. And then we'll move to the inside stuff. And alright, by the wiring, what I mean by simple. Your black wire, which is right here. This one you just run through the firewall. There's two spades on the top of that single speed wiper switch. The black wire plugs in the one on the left, the white wire plugs in the one on the right. You have a 3-way power distribution splitter right here coming off your harness, and this is what all your accessories get their power from in your dash. And it is this single plug-in, just a little bullet connector like this right here. It plugs into this little 3-way splitter, and I know it's hard for me to show you, but that right there, it'll plug in there, and that's how it gets its power. So like I said, guys, the wiring is super easy. Everything's literally there already behind your dash. From the factory, sometimes these splitters have other stuff run off of them. They may have plugs in the little ends, but pretty much the same premise. Getting power from the white wire, sending it out to the black wire that turns your pump on under the hood. And always, you can always test this stuff by providing power to that white wire on the pump and a ground to the car, even if you don't have everything hooked up. So let me put some power to this thing. Let's see if we got some windshield washers that work. Had to make a slight adjustment to that other side over there. Let's see if it's any better. So the windshield washers function. I will have to do a little more adjustment on the squirters, but for the general purpose of it, guys, the windshield washer system works. So now we need to move on to our carpet because it's getting kind of late in the day and the sun's starting to go down, which means everything's going to start cooling off. And we done went through the effort of getting our carpet good and warm. So I've already brought the rear half in here and laid it in the car. So let me flip it around. So at this point, I brought the rear half carpet in here, laid it out, made sure I kind of pushed down the edges. As we can see, we still got some wrinkles. That's okay. I've got a couple of bolts in the seatbelt holes, so that'll come in handy here in a little while. But I'm going to go ahead and get the front half of the carpet while it's still warm. We'll get it sat in the car, and I'll go over what we're going to have to do to get it in the car. So I got the front half of the carpet sat in the car. And the big obstacle we got in the way with this car is the shifter. So what I need to do, I need to estimate where the shifter hole is going to be in that carpet and make a slit like they did before, but we're not going to leave a slit in the carpet. So our first cut in the carpet is literally going to be for the shifter itself. And this can be done a lot easier if you just go ahead and take the ball off the shifter. Pretty much this carpet's going to sit up over the top of the edge of the floor riser. So you get about an inch overhang there. So I need to measure off it to where our shifter's at. I'll make a slit there. Pick the carpet up over it, slide it down over the shifter, and adjust that slit forward or backwards as needed to get the carpet to sit on the floor before it cools off. And once you get your carpet laid out in there, after we get the shifter hole like I did cut, and I just cut like a little 3-inch slot, guys, and it ended up being right at dead on. So I got the carpet in there, and I'm going to show you where I'm going to leave it overnight. And there's a reason I'm going to leave it like this overnight. Alright, as you see, we got a hole cut for shifter. I made a little slit for the seatbelt bolts. But I've got 2 pieces of board sitting here on this edge of this carpet because I want it to lay flat on this front edge. And currently in its state, it wants to stand straight up, even though the carpet's in the correct position. Now, there will be a lot of trimming to do with this carpet, as you can see. We got a lot of excess. We got a lot of not fitting around things. You know, a lot of overhangy stuff. That will come later in this video. But for now, since this carpet was warm, I've got it set in here. I want to leave this on these edges so they will flatten out overnight. And there's going to have to be some other things we have to take care of. And what you'll find with this aftermarket carpet is usually it's real baggy around your transmission tunnel, guys. It's real baggy. So we're going to have to come in here. We're going to add some more insulation on the tunnel area. Some of the bubbly stuff I put in the headliner. We're going to loop it over the tunnel tomorrow. We'll glue it down. We'll put a couple little small pieces in the floor to kind of take some of the baggy out there. And then we can start fitting this carpet for a final fitment. So once again, this isn't just to cut a couple holes, burn a couple holes in it, and throw it in there and it's done. You could absolutely do it that way, but where this carpet is kind of baggy around the tunnel, and most of your aftermarket carpets are like this, guys, you need to build it up with some kind of insulation. That way, as this carpet sits out there in the sun and shrinks, and over time, you won't end up with these weird, like, wrinkles that run front to back and in weird places around the carpet, and that's what will happen if you leave it baggy. So we want to get the carpet kind of puffed up as much as we can, and then we can go from there. But since I got it laid out, kind of in the position where it's going to go, I need to let it finish relaxing and make sure that these baggy areas are actually baggy areas before we start building stuff up. You're making your cat castle soft. You want to remind them about your t-shirts that we can get more trick treats? Nope, you just want to make your bed soft? That's fine too. Alright, it's the next day and we're going to put up with the heater for a little while. So, as you remember, I left them blocks on the carpet to help, you know, form it in spots. So, let me flip it around, I'll show you what we got. We're going to go through here and we're going to see if this carpet is puffy anywhere. If it is loose and puffy, we are going to take some of that bubble insulation I put in the headliner. We're going to glue it to the floor in those places. and then we'll bring the carpet back in here and lay it back down. So as you can see, our edge is laid down just by the weight of them blocks on it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to feel around and see how much slack we got, especially in this transmission tunnel area and up in some of these corners and edges. And if this carpet is loose and puffy, we're going to cut some of that bubble insulation. We're going to glue it to our other sound deadening down here in the floor. So let me get this carpet pulled back out and we'll go from there. And alright, what I done, I come in here with the thicker stuff and I done the transmission tunnel. I double-sided adhesived it down, and that's going to build up about 3/8 of an inch around that transmission tunnel. Down here at the base, I took some of the thin stuff like we put in the headliner, which is about a 1/4 inch thick, and I'm just going to put it down here in the bottom of the floors and glue it down also. And what that'll do, that'll give a little feel around some of these corners where it was kind of puffy. So I'm just going to take a double stick adhesive, you know, like a 3M general purpose or a Gorilla Glue spray adhesive. I'm going to spray both sides, the floor and the bottom of this insulation, and I just stick it down like I did on transmission tunnel. This stuff, guys, you don't have to be real concerned about cutting it out perfect. Just take you a pair of scissors and trim it where it just sits flat. You don't want it to poke up or have any sharp corners poking up, because you'll see that through your carpet. So let me get this stuff glued and I'll be back. Alright, so we got all that stuck down. So now we're ready for our carpet again. But most people would probably put the front section in first. We're going to start with the back section first because the front section overlaps the back. And I've had the heater over here blowing on this carpet ever since I started this. So the carpet ought to be a lot more pliable than it was even yesterday sitting out in the sun, because it still wasn't real warm outside, but the carpet did get pliable. So I just been coming in here and doing what I'm doing now, which is rotating it with the little diesel heater blowing on it. Just trying to make sure it don't get too hot in spots, because if you get nylon carpet too hot, guys, it will burn, it will melt, and it will look horrible. So once this carpet warms up the rest of the way, I'll come back. We'll get this thing shoved in there and I'll show you how to start fitting it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a sharp pair of scissors, guys, and you're going to have areas like this right here where this carpet bunches up in this corner, and it's going to be a little too long in some areas too. But what we want to do, we want to get this carpet to sit flat in this area. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick my fingers right here. I'm just going to kind of push this carpet up against the side here to see where the door jamb starts to curve down. And I'm going to want to make a light split this carpet about 1.5 inches long right here. A little less than I need. And this will let me push this down like this. And the next thing I'll notice, I'm going to have a bunch right here caused by this area right here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it like this. I'm going to cut just a little slit in it, and that little slit lets this kind of lay down in there. But I still got a bunch right here. I'm just going to take and I'm going to cut just another little slot right there, just till I can see how this thing's going to lay. And I'm going to see it's too long right here where it goes under the back seat. So I'm just going to pull it back, and I'm going to cut about 1 inch with these sharp scissors. If you use dull stuff, you're not going to have a good time. And I'm just going to check as I go and make sure I'm not going to go all the way across this carpet. I'm just going to go to the point of where it quits being interfered with. Right here. And I notice this still has a little bunch here, so our metal pieces don't come down super far right here, so you don't want to make this split too far down. So you just want it to kind of lay flat there. So you're just going to work along just a little at a time until you get the result that you want. But one wrong cut in the wrong area and your carpet's garbage. So always keep that in mind too. But just go slow. And what we want to do, we just want to make sure this carpet lays flat in areas that we want it to lay flat. And we also don't want it over time with people in here putting their feet in this carpet. We also don't want it to pull away from the edges. So you want it just a hair long. You don't want to cut it straight to your edges. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through here. And I'm going to do the other side just until I get to sit back flat in this corner. And then I'll be back, guys. And we'll work on a couple of the bowl holes. So after you get all your carpet trimmed for the rear half, now we're ready to start making some holes for the seat belt holes and the seat base holes and all that stuff. And this is where people really screw up with a nylon or an 80-20 loop carpet. You need to burn these holes in the carpet. So I'm going to sit y'all up on the stand, and it'll probably be a little hard to hear me, but let's get started. So I didn't put y'all on the stand. So what you're going to do, you're just going to take a bolt that'll go through your hole right there. And you can take and you can feel that bolt on the back side of your carpet. So I don't know if this soldering iron's hot enough yet, and you can always test. But what I'll do, I'll take a soldering iron like this, I'll find my bolt, I'll take and I'll start burning me a little hole. Just enough that your bolt can pass through. So this is gonna stink, guys. This is not a wonderful experience. And it's probably not good for you to breathe. But doing it this way, make sure that you don't have no frayed ends. So you're just gonna make your hole. You want to make it big enough. This isn't something you want just to be quite a little bit bigger than your hole. But doing it this way ensures that you can get stuff like your seatbelt bolts in the hole, and the threads aren't going to catch that nylon because you just heat sealed it. So same with the seat bolts. I'll take a bolt, I'll put it in there. You can feel it under the carpet. And you can literally take your soldering iron and follow the head of your bolt around in a circle. And make your seat holes, bolt holes. And just like that, You see our bolt right there. I just traced around the outside of the head with a soldering iron. I'll just repeat this process on these holes while making sure my other holes stay lined up. And that's the place where people can kind of get messed up. If you start pushing around on this, you're going to lose where your holes are, or you're going to move them and you're going to burn these in the wrong spot. So you see the smoke coming off of it. Yeah, it's very stinky. So like I said, just go in here and you literally burn you out a little circle right where your bowl hole is. So I'm going to repeat this because this stuff stinks, and a lot of people will heat a screwdriver with a torch and push it through. It works too, but this right here is a lot more controllable. So let me do the rest of these holes, guys, and I'll be back. And just like that, you get all your holes in your carpet. You have nice clean holes that you don't have to worry about bolts snagging or any kind of mess with, because nothing will catch that because you have a sealed edge. I've done them a bunch of ways, guys. Torch and screwdriver works fine too. But the soldering iron, literally when that thing gets nuclear hot, it works like a hot knife. And you can literally go in there, if you need to cut a little U shape out, like where the front and rear carpet intersect at the front seat bolts, you can. You can't do that with a torch and a heated screwdriver. So we got a rear half in. Some people will take some adhesive and glue the carpet down at this point. I'm not a real big glue your carpet down kind of person. I believe if you need to remove it to clean it, you should be able to. So I'm going to flip my front up here in front of the heater, let it heat up just a few more minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll get the front half in here. In the front, we're going to do just like the rear. I've done come in here and trim this edge. You can see it straight with the other. I want this carpet to lap over this edge, even though our step rail molding here comes down over this just slightly. I want to make sure all this carpet will lay flat. That way when we put our kick panel and stuff in, we won't have any bumps or any weird stuff there. The big elephant in the room is the shifter hole. So there's two things on the front carpet that become an issue. The shifter hole don't matter as much if you're putting a console in the car, but he said something about the possibility of wanting to delete it. His original console, which was not the original one for this car, is in very poor condition. So we may end up deleting the console, so I need to make sure that I cut this carpet smaller than the shifter boot itself. And the reason for that is you don't want any gaps or anything overhanging. And the other elephant in the room will be the dimmer switch. And there is actually a grommet that comes with the carpet set for the dimmer switch itself. And usually they're oversized on the front side, so that hole becomes kind of less important as being cut square and even. But any holes I'm going to make in this carpet at this point, other than the shifter hole, I will cut that with my scissors, will be made with soldering iron. So there's not a whole lot of holes to make in the front part of the carpet other than the front seat mount holes in the dimmer switch itself. Everything else at this point will be cut with scissors. So let me get to that. Let me get this front carpet trimmed where it'll sit flat, and then I'll be back, guys. Alright, our next thing is going to be our dimmer switch hole. And our dimmer switch is right here. It's going to come with this grommet. It comes with your carpet. The big side of this goes towards the bottom. The little trimmy looking piece goes towards the top. So this hole needs to be pretty exact to the inside diameter here. So I'm just going to do it like I've done the rest of my holes. What I need to do is figure out if I need to slightly pull this carpet over, I need to figure out exactly where that dimmer switch is in relation to being able to push the carpet down. And it's somewhere right in this area right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my soldering iron and I'm going to make a small hole, because remember, we got a little bit to play with the grommet. And like I told y'all, this works just like a hot knife when it's good and hot. And I want to be able to push this down in here and make sure that my carpet's going to sit flat, fit around that dimmer switch good and tight. And some people might leave it like this, but I do like to put the grommets in them. So I'm going to open that hole up just a little bit, and as you can see, it is quite a bit that it has to be opened up for that black piece of grommet to stick through. But I'm going to do it the same way with the soldering iron. I'm just going to take this carpet, and I don't know where my center hole is, and it fits good. We're just going to open this hole up. So what I did is went there with the soldering iron like a hot knife, open that hole up just a little bit until I could stretch my rubber grommet in there. And then when it's all pushed down with the kick panel, we've got a nice clean hole around it, and we don't have to worry about anything abrading it or the dimmer switch getting stuck on the carpet or anything like that. Alright, and what I done with shifter hole, I just took my soldering iron, I found the edges of the hole. Just burnt 4 little holes, and I'm going to take my scissors right here. As you see, I've already started. I'm just going to cut me out a square hole. And that little hole will get us in business until we get our shifter booted and decide what we're doing with the console. So the moral story here is sometimes cut this stuff a little undersized, especially if you don't know how you're going forward. So our next thing is we need to get the kick panels and seal plates in this car. So let me dig this stuff out and we'll go from there. So we got a pile of stuff here. This is the kick panel installation. This is your part number for it. Your seal plate screws. It's going to require 2 of these. Right here's part number for them. And as you can see, this is our kick panels. And here's part number for them too. And you can also see it says bright red, just like everything else I got for the interior. These are more, I know it's hard to tell on camera, but these are like a pastel crayon color. So you put it against carpet, you can see they're not even close. You put it up against bright red panel back here, it's not even close. Put it up against the dash, it stands out like a sore thumb. Stands out like a sore thumb against carpet. This is what you run into with aftermarket colored interior pieces, guys. You are going to have to dye these. So I went ahead and got some 65 bright red interior dye. I done test spray there. This one's clear coated, that one's not. You can see quite the difference. So this will match a lot better once we get these dyed. And before I forget, here are our seal plates. There's your part number there. And the little seal plate kit comes with the correct pieces right here for the emblem. I will not be using these. I will be using the Shelby look-like ones because we went this far with a tribute kind of what-if car. Might as well go all the way. But this is what we got. I gotta get these kick panels prepped up. We get them vinyl dyed. I'll show you the proper way to do that also. Moral story is, I already knew that they didn't match. It's the way it works with colored interior stuff, guys. If you can buy your stuff from the same place, you got a chance of it matching. If you don't, different manufacturers, different things. But I can tell you one thing, there is no way in the world that those kick panels are bright red. They are pastel red. They look like Crayola crayon. So let's get these things prepped up. Let's get them vinyl dyed. That way they can be drying while we work on, you know, some other things in the background. So anytime you're going to paint plastic or vinyl, you want to prep your plastic with something like this SEM prep, vinyl prep right here. And what this does, this cleans your surface real good, and it also helps soften the plastic a little bit so that your interior paint or vinyl dye will actually adhere to the surface. So this is what I got for our interior paint. And you see it says Ford Bright Red, 64.5, 65. So I'm gonna put y'all on a big stand. We're gonna spray this kick panel down with the vinyl prep. I'm gonna wipe it down real good, let it dry for a few seconds, and then we're gonna come in there with the red after we shake all this stuff really well, hit it with a few coats. The important thing here is, guys, just put enough color to cover. If you put, and I know a lot of people, they recommend putting primer under this. A lot of these companies recommend putting primer under this vinyl dye. The more surface buildup you get, guys, the more likely it is to flake, fall off, chip, and look bad. So I literally do it. I just put enough color on to make it the color I want it to be. So got them dyed, and we're gonna have to let them dry out. You can see where it's starting to dry and where it's still wet. I turned the heater back on up here to blow down on them. So when those get dry, guys, I will be back. And I know it don't look like much now, and it don't look much on camera, but when them things dry out, they'll be red. They'll be redder than they've ever been. All without putting any more than I had to. I put 2 like mist coats, guys, and 1 color coat. So that's where I stopped. Let them dry out. If I get any spots, I'll go back and respray them, but I think they're going to be okay. Alright, so our kick panel has dried out, and I just kind of test fitted up here in the car. As you see, our color is much closer. It's much closer to the dash too. And looks much nicer. So, as far as mounting these guys, sometimes from the factory they had a screw here, and they have a screw here, and one down there. And if you've been unlucky enough, people's drill holes, screws all in it. So, moral of the story here is, guys, anywhere from the factory, it would have 1, 2, 3 screws in it. These aftermarket ones fit very tight. Technically, you don't have to put a fastener in them at all if you want that clean look. If you want it to look factory, you need to figure out where your factory holes are, and you'll drill them in the new panel. Since these fit so tight, I am going to let the seal plate hold the kick panel in. Like I said, these fit super tight around the windlace and around the pinch weld where they go down through the door jamb. So I'm pretty happy, and I don't think they'll ever go anywhere that way, and it's a cleaner look without the fasteners in it. So I'm going to leave the mounting hardware out of these and just use kick panel, the seal plate, not the kick panel, seal plate to help hold them in. So let me get the other side in. Make sure I don't have to trim it since we moved our fuse box down a little bit. If we do and I scratch the paint any, I have to go back and paint that kick panel again, but you know, these things are pretty easy to put in, guys. If you feel like you need to put a screw in it, you can always drill it through there and through your inner panel and then put you an interior trim screw in it. Our AMK interior screw kit did not come with any fasteners for whatever reason, and neither did the new kick panels. So these fit tight enough that I feel good about them. So I realized I skipped over the kick panel installation. This is the driver's side. Your installation is going to go right here. Just like this, guys, on the back side of your panel. I did have to cut the driver's side quite a bit to get it to fit, unfortunately. And how I'm going to attach this, I'm just going to spray some spray adhesive like this multi-purpose right here. I'm just going to spray it on the back side just a a little light coat, just enough to tack, just like that. You don't have to get crazy. I'm gonna take and I'm gonna spray her insulation, same way, right here. And I'm gonna let it sit about 2 or 3 minutes. I'll stick them together and slide them kick panels back in there. Like I said, these things fit super tight, and I did have to cut the driver's side for the fuse box. And you know, this is part of it, guys. When you modify a car, sometimes you have to modify the other parts too. Some of it could have been the kick panel, may have been a little large, and that may be why they fit so tight in the car when they're just slid up in there. But that friction fit is very nice because it allowed me not to have to put any fasteners in it. So my glue's probably, you know, starting to stick somewhere around now. It's been about 45 seconds-ish since I sprayed it. And that's usually a point where this stuff gets good and tacky and I can go bloop, stick that insulation on there. So, just like that, it's stuck. I'm going to stick this back in the car. So, I'll be back. And just in case anybody questioned me about dyeing the kick panels and not putting any primer or anything on it, this is a piece I cut off driver's side. You can see the original color back there. This is our vinyl dyed side. It scratches it, yes, because you're using something to braid the paint, but it don't flake off. And this ain't even cured more than an hour. So hopefully some people can pick some stuff up that might help them in the future in this video. So our kick panels are in. I'm going to flip around and show them to you. I just want to show you that you couldn't physically scratch the paint off of it. If you tried hard enough, I'm sure you could scrape all the way through it with your fingernail and scrape it off, but the way I've been doing it has been lasting for a long time, guys, especially in some of my applications that I've actually done this. But let me flip around and show you kick panels. So I know it's dark over there, but our kick panels in there, our kick panels over here. That actually looks pretty nice in there. Matches the carpet real nice and blends right into our dash, which is just a little different shade of red because I paint interior metal with the same color red we paint the stripes. But it looks like it's all going to blend together pretty well. So our next thing, when you get these seal plates opened up and start fitting them, and I'm not sure if any of you noticed, but I covered up all the lower seal plate screw holes when I done the sound deadening, when I put the carpet in. And you may be wondering, well, how are you going to find them? We're going to put these seal plates on, guys. I'm going to take that soldering iron, I'm going to clean it real good. And once the top piece is bolted down, I'm going to take that hot soldering iron, poke it in the holes, and it should burn the insulation and the carpet away from the holes enough to get it all bolted up. And some of this stuff's real hard for me to show you guys. But we got our new seal plate screws here. We got our new seal plates. Now don't take for granted that you might not have to do some bending around on these. Remember, the reproduction stuff don't always fit. The good thing is we have our original screw holes in the car, and we can take and line our seal plate up with these screw holes up here and get a couple started. Notice I said not tighten down. I said let's get them started. So we're just going to get a couple started here. And then we can kind of take a look at things of how things are fitting or not fitting. So like I said, you might have to go in here and do a little, you know, little squeezing. Just get these seal plates to sit flat up against the outside seal. You may have to manipulate your carpet a little bit, but don't get frustrated with it. Just go slow. Try not to bend anything to any extreme. And those kind of rewards will pay off. And I know there's other stuff I need to put on before I put the seal plates on, but I want this carpet to sit here and relax for a few days because I need to put the rear window regulators and rear windows in this car before these go in here permanently. But that's not going to stop me from going ahead and getting them screwed down where they go and making sure everything is attached properly. Think of it like mocking this stuff up. So guys, this angle is probably going to be a little shaky. I've got y'all sitting on some stuff. So I got our soldering iron good and hot. And in order to find our other screw holes, or to make sure we don't snag the carpet, I'm just going to take our soldering iron and burn a hole through this carpet in these areas. And at least one of them lines up. That's one that's off camera for you guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a screw in it. And I'm going to go ahead and put some screws in these and get them run down. But that soldering iron trick, guys, will literally keep you from tearing your new carpet up. May have to re-drill that hole because I can't find it behind there at all. There it is. We found her right there. But that soldering iron will also go through that aluminum backed insulation that we put in the floor itself. So just super helpful little tips, guys. And hopefully this stuff will help you out on your own projects. And you can go from there. Alright, and sill plates are on both sides. And what I'm going to do from this point, we're going to let this carpet relax for a little while. I just stuck this on here. It's not even stuck down. I just stuck it on there. But it's looking a lot better than what it did. And that's been the whole goal of this thing, to make it less bad than what it was. And safe. So it's well on its way to becoming a car again. I've got some trunk things I can put in it at this point. I'm not real sure if I'm ready to put them in, but I've got them, and might as well put them in at this point. So let's get to it. So what I got for the trunk is a brand new trunk mat. These are the pieces that a lot of people forget to put in these cars right here. So here is the part number for the filler boards for the sides. This keeps your trunk mat from drooping over inside the quarter panel over there. And you're going to probably have to drill holes for these to mount them. There's actually screws that hold these down in the trunk. Here is the trunk mat part number for a coupe and convertible, 64.5 through 68. They also sell a speckled one also, but it is a little harder to get and a little more expensive, so I went back with the plaid for this car. But these trunk boards, guys, they literally go in here like this right here. They got a couple of self-tapper type screws from the factory that go in right here and right there. So those are going to go in on both sides. There is an insulation pad that is supposed to go on top of the gas tank, which we do not have. Nobody had that in stock alone. I'm probably going to take some of that silver aluminum insulation that we put in here before, and I'm just going to line the top of the tank, or I may just do it later. I've not made my mind up yet on the insulation on the tank. I would like to put the factory, type insulation on top of the tank, just in case somebody, later in life wanted to, run this thing without a trunk mat or something. It wouldn't look funny, but there's really no reason not to, I don't guess. So the trunk stuff is really that simple, guys. I just run a couple self-tappers in our cardboard pieces. I said cardboard, but they're really more like particle board. This trunk mat will have to be trimmed just like a carpet will. You're going to have to trim this a little bit, and then you're going to have to kind of let it sit here and naturally relax. Or if you got a good hot day, you can sit out in the sun, and that's what I'll do on our next sunny day. I'll pull this out and let it sit in the sun. I'll bring it back in here and put it back in. But I done some rough trimming. I split it in a couple spots where I know it'll lay down flat. And one thing I wish these manufacturers for these trunk mats for these Mustangs would do, because the driver's side goes all the way over the edge, I wish they would go ahead and bring the passenger side all the way over to the edge, just like the driver's side, for the people that want to delete their spare tire but want to keep a factory style trunk look. So guys, the trunk mat is really simple to install. It's meant to be easy to take out where you can clean it. They come all wrinkled up. There's not absolutely nothing you can do about it other than to sit it in the sun on a good hot sunny day. Or if your car is outside in the summertime with the trunk shut, it'll lay down then too. A lot of these trunk mats, like I said, they're a vinyl type product, so the hotter it gets, the more malleable it gets, and the more conforming it gets to what it sits on. So I'm going to let it naturally sit there in the trunk for now, until we have another warm sunny day, and I'll take it out and put it out there in the sun. But for now, it gets the trunk mat out of my way, those trunk boards out of my way, and we'll let them sit here in the trunk and kind of relax out like it should. So I went and got his console because I figured I'd see exactly what it was going to take to clean it up and maybe re-dye it, but it's way worse than I remembered it being. But remember what the car looked like before? All the stuff looked a little better than what it did against a bad car. So let me flip it around and I'll show it to you. So this was the console that was in the car. It's got some kind of science experiment growing in between over here. As you can see, this is junk. All the trim's junk. The plastic's been spray painted with like a Krylon spray paint. You can see how thick it is. It's actually filled in the grain. The mounting tabs are broke out of it in a few places. The rear bezel's broke off. The paint's peeling and chipping. I mean, it's just an overall bad shape, but it gets better. Because one might think that's an original console. Nope, it's a reproduction when it looks like that. So let me flip around and show you the bottom. So every piece of trim on this thing does not have any kind of nut on it. It's literally glued on with some kind of glue. And then, you know, we got one screw, one nut, something without a nut, and nothing without a nut. But as you can see, this is a repop console. There's no 4-part numbers on it, and they literally spent all that money to buy a repop console and then destroyed it. But the trim is original to some car, not this one, because this car didn't come with a console from the factory. And looking at it, it looks like they made their own out of an automatic console. The way the hole's cut under the shifter thing here, so it's a mess. So this thing is pure trash. So once again, that brings me to a stopping point, whether I want to be at one or not. Because if we're going to put a console in it, it needs to go in now. Because there is wiring to do, there is holes to drill in the carpet, holes to drill in the car. You know, all that fun stuff. And this is not there. Alright guys, so seems like a good place to leave this video at the end. Because I can't go forward and I can't go backwards. So if you haven't yet, make sure you check out Kentucky Mustang for all your classic Mustang needs. And they did send us a discount code. A link to their website and the discount code is in the description below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free and does help the channel to grow. If you are a subscriber, I greatly appreciate you guys, and I look forward to everybody's comments down below. So until the next video guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.